All right, welcome into a special version of the Aftershock. We're here at Levi's Stadium in one of the press box areas, and I'm here with the president of the San Jose Earthquakes, Jared Shawlee. Jared, I'm sure no stranger to most of the watchers of the Aftershock, but it is your first time on this show. Welcome.
It's great to be here. My favorite part of being on is that I just got to hear the intro music, which I absolutely love. So that's great.
San Jose native,
yes.
that created that music, of course. It feels like 10 games into this season just felt like a good time to do a catch up around a number of different areas around the club. There were a lot of things that were still kind of coming together at the start of the season, and you have a new coach, you've got some new players, new depth. The siren's going to go off here in the background in case people are hearing that. They're testing everything out before the game, obviously. But, it just felt like now that we've seen, 10 games into the season, it just feels like a good time to kind of catch up. If you just would say, what do you feel now 10 games into this new season with not just the on the field product, but with the way things have come together off the field, around the new stadium stuff that you guys have done this season, as well as putting together this event here at Levi Stadium.
Yeah, and we should also preface, we are talking before the game.
Before the game. so we have no idea how this game is going to go.
So I'm going to speak, as I say here today, I'm just incredibly optimistic and motivated. I think about where we're at today and then what the future holds for the Quakes. I'm as aware as the viewers and listeners are, the last couple of years have not been what we wanted to be as a club.
Right.
But it feels like we've just been able to take a massive step forward at the start of this year between Lucci coming in, the entire staff that we've hired to go around Lucci, both on the first team coaching, strength, performance, medical. It brought in just a ton of high quality people to work with the first team. I think we feel great about the roster and the first team, and the results so far have been very positive. And a lot of the initiatives that we've started to build around the club, be that the new supporter section or some of the new stadium traditions or doing new big matches like we're going to do here today, it just feels like it's all starting to pay off and it's working. So we got to continue that and push that momentum forward and keep adding trajectory to that. But as I sit here today, I am thrilled with the first 4 months this year.
Some fans look forward to events like the Cali Classico, and this was, I think, maybe a surprise for a few people because it's been a few years. Can you talk to us about why Levi Stadium again and why Levi Stadium now? About 5 years since the last time the Earthquakes played here.
Yeah, even more for the regular season match, right? And
right.
I was a part of putting together those first games, the opener that we had, the very first event at Levi Stadium in 2014 against the Sounders, and then the second year was a game we did against Orlando City. And at that point, for where Levi's was at and where we were at, that game just didn't quite feel right. But I think we're in a new day, and it really started from the partnership we've developed with the 49ers, which started actually in COVID, working with Santa Clara County on the health protocols. We did a lot of stuff together. And then that morphed into us going for the World Cup bid together, which was a 1.5-year process, awarded the bid last summer. And in that process and in the planning, I just said, you know what, I think we got to give this venue another shot. It has changed quite a bit since they opened, similar to PayPal, right? Mm-hmm. It's gotten, in my opinion, much better. Great fan experience. It's really dialed in. So I wanted to test it out and see how we could do a match here. The idea for Cinco de Mayo was, let's find an event similar to what we do the Galaxy in the summer, where we can put some equity around, some brand equity around a holiday weekend that maybe isn't claimed otherwise in this area. And let's see if we can bring out new fans to see the Quakes.
So at least 40,000, up to 45,000 today, you believe. And one of the things that we talked about a little bit before we turn on the recording here is that there's a lot of new fans coming through the turnstiles to see an Earthquakes team for the very first time.
Yep.
Can you talk to us a little bit about, what you're seeing in terms of the metrics of new fan experience today?
So as we grow the fan base, we have to expose new fans to our product. And we're going to have a crowd of 45,000 today. 60% of those fans are new to our Earthquakes database. I take that to assume, they have never seen a Quakes game before. And we've seen this, right? Throughout the growth of the Quakes in the last 10 years, the conversion of our big events at Stanford Stadium into long-term season ticket holders, that's our highest conversion rate we get. And so I'm hopeful that by doing this game here today, exposing all these new fans, hopefully what's going to be a great game and a great game experience. We'll bring them back to PayPal Park. They'll become season ticket holders of the Quakes. And we can continue to build, through that route.
It worked for us because my wife decided that we needed to become season ticket holders after Q and David Beckham almost got into a fight on the field. She's like, we're getting season tickets. So we became season ticket holders.
That was
out
at the end of the 2012 game?
Yeah, I believe that was 2012.
When Sam Cronin popped back up out of nowhere.
Exactly. Good memories there. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Academy facility, because I think this has been something that has been out there for a bit, and there's been a little bit of fan nervousness. A lot of fans like myself have had kids that have played in the academy or in in teams around the area, and youth soccer is such an important part of like what brings soccer fans to a professional game, right? And so there's a lot of interest around this academy facility because, for one, obviously we would like to see, the Earthquakes Academy, which is one of the best now in MLS, have a place of their own. And also, too, those fields, are also going to be able to be used for other purposes. So where do things stand right now, with the county? It's now been past a year. You mentioned in the goal.com article recently that there's been an extension. So can you talk us kind of through the timeline and where things are at now? Yeah,
so the project continues to progress. What we ended up doing was signing a 6-month extension to the ENA that was dated April 3rd of this year. So we have 6 more months. I'm hopeful, though, that we actually do a binding vote with the County Board of Supervisors prior to their summer session in July. So that's our goal. And that's what we're working on every day right now. Cindy Chavez from the Board of Supervisors has been an amazing champion for the project. And it's just, these projects take time. The fairgrounds hasn't been developed or touched in almost 40 years now. And this project would be the first of what's hopefully a lot of development out there for the community. And the county is just doing their diligence to learn, hey, when we build this new road for the Quakes facility, what does that potentially trigger on the offsites for the rest of the project? And so the city of San Jose is involved. The county and the city are working very closely together on this. I think that's been really productive so far. But we have to let them go through their process and understand exactly what they're committing to so they're comfortable with it. The way it's set up right now, it's a 55-year ground lease for the Earthquake. So this is a very long-term, partnership that we're going to be putting together. And we want to make sure we spend the right time on that up front. Make sure everyone's super comfortable with what we're doing, and then ultimately get the community benefits of having those 6 additional soccer fields come online out of the fairgrounds that are next to our training facility. Because, you said it, our academy, it's incredible what our coaches and what Chris Leach and the group have accomplished for the talent that's coming out of our academy, given that we don't have the fields and the resources around the fields that we want to have yet. So we will definitely build a training facility and academy facility here for the San Jose Earthquakes. I want to see the project through at the fairgrounds because I think it's the best location and it has the community benefit tied to it. Mm-hmm. If for whatever reason that does not work out, we have backup options ready that are private land. You start to get farther away from our core in San Jose, just to make sure you can find the amount of land that you need to do this.
Right.
So I want to see this one through, but we have backup options. Nobody should be worried about this. This is going to happen.
It's
a matter of when, not if. So.
Okay. Well, so, one of the interesting things also I saw in that goal.com article was this kind of concept of we need to double the fan base. And as you mentioned, getting 60%, new people that haven't been in your database before coming to a game like today is massive for you. But it also feels like there's other plans in terms of, how you want to reach out from San Jose now into many other communities around the Bay Area. Can you give us a little bit, I know you're not like an announcement phase at this point with some of this, but can you give us a little bit about, what you're looking toward in terms of the strategy of growing the fan base over the next few years? I'm sure the lead up to the World Cup has to be a big part of that. Absolutely. And then, kind of a little bit about maybe what the game plan looks like.
Yeah. So look, it starts from a place where our mission at the Quakes is uniting Northern California around the sport of soccer. And we want to ultimately be seen as the epicenter of soccer in America. And to do that, it's going to take brand expansion outside of our core in San Jose. We are San Jose. We have, rooted ourselves in a lot of that marketing over the past 5 years, and it's been great. Like our awareness in San Jose has almost doubled over the past 5 years. We brought in Toodle Ramen about a year and a half ago to audit where we were at. And so I want to give him a lot of credit that the next phase of this plan is actually going to be led by him. And it's going to involve some major investments in some of the other towns around the Bay Area, similar to what we've already done in San Jose. So it's kind of, you don't really go out and announce, hey, we are brand expanding. You go do it, right? And then you measure the results of it. And hopefully, especially, I think listeners of your show would notice, we've actually already started. And the first city that we decided to start in was Salinas.
Right.
And kind of the theory behind that is, let's go start where we have good stories to tell. And when we go to a city, it's not about putting up billboards or doing things. It's about doing good community-based grassroots Quakes style initiatives. So we have a second team match out there. We spend money to rebuild soccer fields in that community. We bring Emmy out there. We bring Ramiro Corrales out there. And then we measure the results. And we lasting impact in each of these cities. So Salinas first. We'll do 2 more cities this year. And they're 6-figure and 30 behind them. And then the goal is, as we get to the World Cup, expand and go into more and more cities each year, leave behind more and more of a lasting legacy in each of these cities, invest in their communities, and convert people to Quakes fans.
There's with the potential of the A's leaving, for Las Vegas, there's a little bit of nervousness, in the community about how does this affect the Earthquakes? Would John Fisher, potentially move the Earthquakes, to Las Vegas, or could we see a situation that maybe mirrors what happened with Austin and the Columbus Crew? You want to maybe address that a little bit for the fans and give them, the perspective of what reality looks like in the situation?
It's as easy as it comes. I mean, we run all of our businesses very independent. John's been an incredibly committed owner for the Earthquakes. I mean, he's the reason soccer's here, and the investments he's made and his family have made in San Jose and the Earthquakes and the Bay Area. It's incredible. We're not going anywhere. The San Jose Earthquakes are here. We have our stadium built. We're going to continue to develop deep roots all around the Bay Area. This is, to me, the best market in the country for our sport. And we've been able to put the infrastructure roots in here that we want to have. We're going to be here for our lifetimes. So.
Well, that's good to know that at least it'll last my lifetime then. But let's talk a little bit about the things that you mentioned earlier too, because you're right, there has been some additional investment more recently. So when it comes to in-game experience, we've seen some changes. For instance, the extension of the supporter section for the San Jose Ultras. Also the siren, and also the smoke. What do you call this?
The cryo.
The cryo.
Yes.
Okay, so the cryo that goes off after goals. You talk a little bit about how all this kind of came to be. I've heard different rumors, and they sound kind of interesting. So,
man, everyone's got their own story for every tradition that works. There's a story of 4 people whose idea it was, and then nobody wants to claim some of the ones that haven't worked in the past. So we'll let that be. But yeah, I think as I look at my vision and our group's vision for where the Quakes are going to go, we want to be investing everywhere. So it's investing in the stadium experience, and the supporter section and getting that fixed is something that, I worked with Dan Marguerite, the leader of the Ultras, on for 3 or 4 years before it actually got brought to fruition. So in the background, we are planning projects now that people are going to start seeing in 24 and 25 to always be investing in the stadium. Have to do that no matter what. Investing in big event, marketing like we're doing here today at Levi's. This was actually big investment and risk by us. So we take the building over, we assume all the risk, and have confidence that tickets will come, but you never quite know. And then obviously investing in the staff and the rosters, and then ultimately the brand marketing that we were talking about, around the region. I feel like we are starting to make very strong investments in all those buckets right now, which was a little bit the plan that, our group had kind of put together and laid out to ownership to invest in.
A little bit of a kind of a bonus question. One of the things that, I think has been amazing, and, you and I have chatted about it offline a bit, has been how the partner situation has really kind of been built up around the club. There was a time where there's always a question of, is there going to be a stadium sponsor or a jersey sponsor? Or, what's the health looking like of the partner network? But really, we've seen this grow considerably over the past, couple of seasons, under Ian Anderson. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the health of the overall business and those types of improvements that you've been seeing in some of the business side metrics?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and Ian and his team have done an incredible job. In 2019, we had no jersey partner, we had no naming rights partner. To come out of the pandemic, when a lot of teams actually lost a lot of partnerships, we were almost doubling our partnership business coming out. It's just incredible. The real thing that's kind of occurred is that the tech companies of the Bay Area, they're in on soccer, and that was not the case for a long time. Our partner roster now has PayPal, Adobe, Uber, Dropbox. I'm missing a lot of them. Intermedia, obviously, our jersey partner. That has been just a game changer for us on the business side, and it lets us have confidence to make all these investments around the fan experience and the brand that I'm talking about and the players. So that team's done a really, really good job. And events like this also do help with that. Stanford Stadium with our big event there is great, but there's no suites for hosting. We have 100 suites being used today. So we have all the tech companies in the Bay Area that are here at this game tonight. So hopefully they have a great experience and we're able to continue that momentum with them.
Oh, that sounds amazing. One more question for you that came in through our patron Slack, and I thought it was a pretty good one, and one that I'm sure you've gotten before. The Wando statue.
I want to see this patron Slack one day.
Oh,
how do I get in there?
We'll just give you an invite. You can come whenever you want to
answer questions.
Absolutely, that would be fantastic. I'm sure they would love it. But the Wando statue, not the first time you've heard this question, but will we at some point see a statue for Chris Wondolowski outside the stadium, do you think?
Chris Wondolowski is the greatest player this franchise has ever had and probably will ever have. So next year we have our 50-year anniversary of the club. I think there's going to be a lot of great moments around that celebration next year. So I don't want to commit to anything today. And also Wando's somebody who would say, I don't want to have that. So I already named a street after him. And
yes,
we see that every day.
Way.
So let's say stay tuned for the 50-year anniversary next year, and we'll see how we do.
That sounds exciting. I'm looking forward to the 50th anniversary. We'll definitely have to put some investment from the Quakes Epicenter side to making sure that we come for some of those events. Fans, thank you so much for joining in today. Jared, any final thoughts that of just kind of where things are at right now from this Levi Stadium game, and we don't know how the game's going to go today, but it's been probably quite a journey over the past few seasons. To your point, since that kind of COVID time ended, it's been a constant sea of change for the Earthquakes.
Yeah, no. I guess my final thought, what I actually want to make sure I share, is thank you for all the great coverage of the Quakes. I don't know if everybody knows, but I'm probably 90% of the time tuning in to watch you guys post game on my drive when I'm leaving the stadium. And so I love hearing the banter. I love when you and Alex are going at each other.
That's been a more recent thing.
So, you guys do a great job, and really appreciate the coverage of the team and bringing all the fans together to watch a show like this.
And thanks again for joining us today on the Aftershock. It's great to finally have you on the show. And I'm glad we were able to do it in person. It's kind of more personal that way.
Absolutely. No, it's awesome.
All right. Take care.
Cool. Thanks. Jamin.